Please welcome Jeremy Chan.
Buongiorno. The name of my talk today is Flavour from the Inside Out. I really struggled with this topic because it's such a massive topic. So I had to put my thoughts into writing, and I hope they're clear and meaningful for everyone. I think of flavour as a multidimensional experience. It encompasses taste, texture, aroma, and mouthfeel. It is an all-encompassing experience that goes beyond the simple act of consuming and tasting food. It relates to time and place, such as eating food from a street vendor or a Michelin star restaurant, or on a plane after saying goodbye to loved ones. It is the context of where you are when you are eating something, which means that flavor is not only subjective but linked to our emotions and perception. As chefs, we have experience, raw materials, techniques, and tools at our disposal when creating flavor. But the fact is, we cannot always control others' perception of our creations, since flavor is affected by a person's perception of what it is they are eating, along with all kinds of other factors like who they are, what customs, traditions, cultural tastes, and palate they have. Unfortunately, despite the complexity of an individual interpretation, society at large is obsessed with labeling our ideas to fit a narrow understanding, so that what we do can become marketable, intelligible concepts. Since the beginning, I felt very much pigeonholed into labeling the concept of Ikoyi, but I have resisted this with all my strength since opening. One day, our menu might be inspired by the delicate aromas of white truffles on a veal chop at Lambrosi. On another, it could be the numbing sensation of a hot pot I'd eaten as a child growing up in Hong Kong, or the fire of pepper soup in Lagos, Nigeria. Ikoyi exists within a vacuum, but it can encompass cuisines, cuisons, minute details of sublime experiences I have witnessed in my life, whether it be that perfect béarnaise sauce, the texture of aged metal on a sculpture, the pristine quality of teardrop peas, the simmering red of a solar eclipse, or the sharpness of a slice of tuna. And so, if you are to view Ikoyi as a West African restaurant, you are missing the point. It is neither a West African restaurant nor a Cantonese or French one. It exists to express the totality of my life experience, what is within, rather than aiming to recreate a single tradition. To me, flavor is simply the output of my life's journey, the output of my current state of being. When we opened in 2017, I knew the restaurant was embarking on a unique but challenging and risky journey with flavor. I wanted to create a restaurant that used spice and bold heat as a catalyst for creativity, to draw from the effects of spice and how they ignited my imagination, the pain, the joy, the sensation of burning, and how this was linking me to all kinds of experiences and sensations I had felt over the course of my life. If I think of food without the flavor of spice, it is food that I have no natural inclination to eat. To me, spice is more than flavor. It represents the spectrum of cultures, history, and people around the world, the transference of ideas, languages, secrets, myths. And while there are many forms of magic in cooking, that perfect turbot, roasting steak in foaming butter, cooking with spice goes to the heart of my passion for cooking, the essence of my expression of flavor. If flavor is defined as the output of our life's journey, our current state of being, then the best flavors I have ever cooked will be from the first years of opening the restaurant. I didn't care what anyone else thought at the time. I was combative, defiant. The more people told me who I was, the more people tried to define our flavors, the more I would dig inside to pull something out that was unpredictable and true to my emotions. With a dish like the plantain with Scotch bonnet and raspberry, I fought against what others thought and only listened to my own voice and inspiration. But as you get older, you start to listen to what others think and like, and this begins to infect your creative process. Your ideas have less integrity. While it may sound crazy, I haven't tasted a single dish in my restaurant since the day we opened, and I have never and will never eat at Ikoyi. The restaurant is where I output my life experience into food, and so to eat there would be like eating a part of myself. I don't believe in R&D, testing dishes, consuming them, practicing them. The reason I cook is to see the joy others experience in eating my food, to perceive others experiencing a true part of me through the cuisine and the space in which it lives. To me, the act of making food joyful is connected to creating it from a place of passion, intention, and vulnerability. I think of cooking at Ikoyi like playing music in an orchestra with highly precise group of musicians, or playing an intense game of football. There would be no joy and beauty in a game of football if the goalposts were set as wide as the pitch and you could score every time. Nor would it be exciting to experience the Berlin Philharmonic if the musicians were to pre-record the music. On the other hand, it's not improvised jazz. It's highly precise cooking, containing an understanding of produce, ingredients, and raw materials, and it is our goal to make food look like it is machine-made, while actually embracing nature and humanity. But it's true that the menu changes every day, even if just a little bit, as we don't control nature and we don't control seasonality. With cooking, the end goal, the output, which is flavor, has to come from somewhere deeply personal, emotional, and in some respects unknown, perhaps the subconscious. There must be an element of risk, and you must be willing to accept that someone may not enjoy the experience of your flavors. Therein lies the vulnerability. But this way of sharing with others reveals something much more raw, something unchained, and something pure. In terms of purity, I feel like there is a tend to cook and serve ingredients as themselves, as pure standalone subjects. That oyster, that exquisite first strawberry, that perfect piece of fish, ingredients left unadorned and simply served as themselves, tends to be a perception of cooking exalted as a form of restraint in minimalism. I think you could view this form of purity as a kind of exclusionism, not allowing other influences, tastes, consciousnesses to enter a creative sphere in order to safeguard a single or a particular identity. I feel like we seek to safeguard this kind of purity because it's easier to understand and control, but at the same time it's predictable. What I am trying to achieve with flavor is also a kind of purity and minimalism, but one that infuses, compresses, and condenses memory, time, taste, years of my life into a single dish through use of spice and concentration. At Ikoyi, we strive to create an extremely precise form of minimalism, a single bite, whether it be a courgette infused with an intense reduction of spices, or a mouthful of slowly cooked and chopped squid exploding with deep oceanic flavor. It is a form of minimalism that reveals layers of complexity and lingering sensations, a minimalism that unlocks multiple new reference points. Okay, now is the time to send the beef out. Seasonality, terroir, the process and the people behind our ingredients. These are the foundations of cooking and flavor at Ikoyi. If I'm trying to create food with personal integrity, food that reflects my inner being, then I must use ingredients that are made with the same basis of integrity. And that's where the suppliers come in. Just like I'm pushing for an uncontrollable perfection in my style of cooking, not testing dishes but forcing them into existence for the first time with our guests, I'm equally inspired by the fact that the beef coming through our door will vary considerably, and that I cannot control the way the animals have been shaped by nature, weather, life, and the people who have reared them. While two separate Angus cattle may have been given the same treatment, the same exposure to wild grasses and rich pasture, the same consistency in aging, we cannot control every factor in nature during the lifetime of the animal. And so every day our beef is distinct in texture, size, depth of flavor, marbling. The infinite variability of nature is awe-inspiring, and it induces a cooking style that is dynamic, bold, and intuitive. It means that every piece of beef is seared, grilled, caramelized, and sliced to different specifications based on our observations. As with the cooking, the only factors in our control are technique, precision, respect, and understanding of the process. And the Warrens, our beef farmer and butcher, have the most clinical aging process I have ever witnessed in butchery. The beef is started at high humidity for 2 weeks to kickstart bacterial growth, then held in airlocked rooms for up to 5 months at low humidity. Very similar to fine wine, different grapes react differently to time, terroir, and weather. The same it is with beef, and the factor that temperature and humidity control is what truly allows you to age something without the development of unwanted aromas and tastes. Not only do the Warrens age and cut the meat, they also manage livestock on their farm, which is very unique, and they've been doing it since the 1800s, specializing only in native breed beef. It's 100% grass-fed, spending up to a year suckling from the mother, and then 2 more years grazing over moorland, rocky and wild area of Bodmin Moor and Dartmoor. This gives the animal a life as close to nature as possible, roaming tricky terrain and eating wild grasses and herbs, pushing its cardiovascular system. Most of the beef is finished on very rich pasture, which can give this beef a deep intertwined marbling, very different to the kind of marbling you would see on Wagyu or grain-fed beef. I think that if my food is a true expression of who I am, then the meat is a true expression of the animal's life. And so what I'm creating here, and what every chef creates with every dish, is effectively a symphony of different lives, of the plants, the herbs, the meat, and the people who make them and supply them. Cooking is an untamable art form, different from any other, because it is inherently at the mercy of nature. But the elements that make our dishes, the ingredients, are colored and shaped by conditions of the lives they have lived. This is what makes cooking so beautiful and tragic at the same time, especially if you're a control freak. Unfortunately, as much as we cherish diversity, it is also true that in many ways we are heading in the direction of becoming all too similar. We are encouraged to create things that are easily identifiable, tradable, consumable. We aren't supposed to offend or challenge anyone, and in a sense it is true that we have to please as many people as possible in order to survive. And this trend is the same in cinema and music, but it leads to the eradication of personality and soul, of authenticity and meaning. Ikoyi is about cooking from the inside out, of bringing who I am out into the world, for better or for worse. What dictates flavor is my internal world, and the act of cooking is about accessing something inside myself with all of the inspiration found within. But the trend today is that we start by thinking what others want, instead of looking inward first. And when it starts to lean too far in this direction, there will no longer be any more output for the soul, and that's an important loss. Thank you so much.